I'm Lisi, and I have a gluten allergy.
And I'm Lucy, and I have celiac disease.
And this is gluten-free gaming. Since this is our first episode, and you guys probably have no idea who we are, unless you're family or friends. If so, thanks for tuning in. But I'm going to introduce myself to all the other people out there. So I'm a huge nerd. Most of my interests include board games, video games, Magic the Gathering, and if I could afford to build robots in my spare time, I would. But my typical favorite video games are platformers, RPGs, and open world survival games. And we are talking to you because I can use this podcast to force Lucy to play some of my favorite games, and she can do the same.
And I'm Lucy, and I love video games, board games, books. My favorite video games are I love roguelikes, and I love very low stress games like Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing. And I'm not a huge fan of survival games, so this will be fun. Lisi and I have similar tastes, but we never end up picking the same games. So this is a way for us to force each other to play our favorite games that we've never had the chance to play because we just never picked them up.
Yeah, and another kind of purpose behind this podcast is for us to kind of give you two point of views on any games you're considering playing. So one will be from somebody who loves the game and has played it and is trying to get the other friend to play it. And then the other one will be obviously the friend who has never played it before. So you get kind of a newbie perspective as well as somebody who loves the game, has played it to death, etc.
We will also be playing some games that neither of us have played. And those games will kind of be two perspectives on a game that neither of us have played. So maybe it's an RPG. I'm not the biggest fan of RPGs. I'm working on it. It's a personal flaw, but you'll hear my reaction to an RPG that Lisi hasn't played either. How we feel about a new game in our lives.
Yes, exactly. So this week we're talking about Untitled Goose Game, which is a fantastic game. I played it, I think, during quarantine for the first time because that's when I actually got my Nintendo Switch. And I really enjoyed it. And Lucy never got around to playing it. So finally, she tried to play it, didn't finish it. And then I was like, finish it. It's good. So here we are.
Yeah, I played it when it first came out in 2019. I got my Switch in 2019. So I played it right when it came out. And I could not finish about all of the levels except for the first two. I had a friend finish the levels for me, and then I never completed the game. So it was very exciting to finish the game this time.
Yay.
On my own.
Woohoo. Yeah, I had to look up a walkthrough, so no shade. It's just a fun little game, and I didn't feel like struggling for ages trying to figure everything out. But anyways, so I'm just going to go to just a quick summary. If you don't know what Goose Game is, it's basically just a goose simulator where you can honk, you can flap your wings, you can run around, you can kind of adjust where your head's at. You can stoop to go and grab things. It's a very graphically simplistic kind of game. So it's got its own cute little style, and you can swim places. And basically your entire mission is to just fuck up everybody's lives as much as you possibly can. And it's a good game. I am going to give a spoiler alert warning because I plan on discussing the ending of the game because I think it's so super cute and also hilarious. So anyways, I'm going to go into the background of the game because I have some fun facts for everybody about it, which I think we'll all enjoy. So, as Lucy said, it was released in 2019 by House House, and House House is actually a 4-person development team based in Australia. And basically how it got started was they were passing around a stock photo of a goose in their little development office, and everybody it became so much of an inside joke that they just made it into a game. So it was inspired in part by Mario 64 to kind of be that 3D kind of style of game. And it was almost called Some Like It Honk.
No.
Yes.
And they didn't. No. Oh, that would have been so good. I don't think it would have been as popular, but that would have been amazing.
It was
Can we
hilarious,
call this episode Some Like It Honk?
We can, and we should. But yeah, so basically how it got to be called Untitled Goose Game is they were trying to bring it to like a little game festival, think like a Sundance Film Festival, but for games. I forget what it's called, but they didn't have a title for it yet, so they just called it Untitled Goose Game, and the title just kind of stuck, and then it kind of went viral from there, and a bunch of people thought it was hilarious. So I was also looking on the Wikipedia page for some of these fun facts, and House has only published one other game, and it's called Push Me Pull You, and Wikipedia describes it as two teams of sausage-like bodies with heads at both ends facing off in a circle for territorial control of a ball. There is a hidden option to swap the human heads for those of dogs.
That is weird.
One of the reviewers, yes, it is. One of the reviewers likened it to like a sports version of Human Centipede. So if that says anything about House, anyways,
that's horrifying.
Yeah, the graphics are like the same though. They're like just 2D version of like Goose Game graphics, so it's still like, artsy and kind of cute, but it's just a little bit disturbing at the same time. But anyways, I think the goose is much more endearing. And also, I didn't realize that there was domestic geese and feral geese, but I learned a new thing the other day because I just love the fact that the phrase feral goose is like accurate of some geese. I think that's hilarious. And also the idea that you can ever truly domesticate a goose because geese are just assholes. So
can you domesticate like birds in general, or are birds just kind of chilling?
I don't know. I feel like you can domesticate anything if you try hard enough. I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about like the little things that I liked about the game. So I really liked the soundtrack because so originally they didn't even plan to make it kind of responsive to the game, but after it came out, after the trailer came out, people mistook the trailer music to be responsive to what was happening in the game because obviously they tweaked it. And so they actually worked on just recording like soft and loud, intense versions of a bunch of like Claude, is it Debussy, Debussy? Who knows?
Debussy.
There we go. That's the pronunciation. I butcher it every time.
Debussy.
Yes. Claude. I'll just call him Claude. Claude's music. And
it's actually Cloud.
Is it actually?
I'm not joking. Yeah, it's actually Cloud.
It's Cloud?
Debussy.
Oh yeah. My god. So Cloud's music. And they just took a bunch of different sections of like some of his like preludes and stuff. And they, put it all together so that whenever you're doing something that's a little bit more intense in the game, it like speeds up and gets louder. And then when you're just kind of like walking around being a goose, it's just some chill piano vibes.
I didn't realize that it was Debussy inspired, but it makes sense because it does feel very Debussy-esque.
Yeah.
For those who don't know Claude Debussy, Claire de Lune, you should know that. Yep. But I do love the responsiveness, and I love that something is about to happen. And I think that when music in video games does that, it makes the game just so much better. It makes me want to listen to the game. And it makes me want to like be in it more so than when the music is kind of just chilling out there in the game. Although I don't mind some wholesome like Animal Crossing, Stardew music that's just chilling out there. It's nice.
Yeah, because that like fits the vibe of the game, And I found myself listening to a lot more like video game soundtracks just like on my Spotify over the past year because like honestly, video game soundtracks kind of slap. And
I'm pretty sure I have one of your Spotify soundtracks. It was like Cozy Undertale or something. I think
yes.
That you have. I have that downloaded on my phone because I listened to that as well.
Good. Yes. Yeah, so like Undertale obviously has a fantastic soundtrack. I also really like the Subnautica soundtrack, even though I'm too scared to go into the areas of the game that have the cooler soundtracks most of the time. But so like definitely music can make or break. I'm gonna get better at talking. Music can make or break a game, and I really like the way that they use it in Goose Game. But what else? So I mean, we can kind of just go to your first impressions, Lucy.
So my first impressions playing the game, when I first played this game in 2019, I had never really played puzzle games before. I think the game that I was playing before this was Fire Emblem Three Houses. Um, and I love the Fire Emblem franchise. And it's like my fourth Fire Emblem game that isn't one of the classics. And so I had just come out of playing like a turn-based RPG game. And I was not prepared for a puzzle game with the Goose Game. I was not prepared for the type of puzzle game it was. But over the past couple years, I got into puzzle games. I played all of the Nancy Drews in like a month and a half. And I have also been playing several other puzzle type games. A lot of roguelikes are puzzles. And also I played Breath of the Wild for the first time, and there are tons of puzzles in it. And a lot of the puzzles are kind of similar to Goose Game. Believe it or not, Breath of the Wild has similar puzzles to Goose Game. I think we know who knocked off whom. A game that was in development for like 8 years and came out in 2018 versus a game in 2019. I think Goose Game is definitely the influence to Breath of the Wild, and Breath of the Wild took all of their ideas from Goose Game.
For sure, definitely. Nintendo can't think of good puzzles on their own, for sure.
But having just played Breath of the Wild, having played a lot more puzzle video games in the recent past, made this game so much more fun and enjoyable. Like, it made me want to solve the puzzles. I think the first time I played it, I was like, it's funny, it's a goose. And now I'm like, oh my god, it's so clever and so creative. Like, you know, you have to honk outside of the restaurant to try and distract him, and then you have to run to the inside of the restaurant while you're distracting them. You have to honk underneath the deck to like try and get them to find you. But then you run out the other side of the deck. And I think that, there are just like so many bits of puzzle in this game that really made a difference to me, and that I really enjoyed now as a person who started liking puzzle games.
Yeah. And another thing that I love is like kind of how dramatic they made like all these simple little tasks, because like one of them is like you drag like this gardener's rake and you put it into a lake, and it's like it's pretty difficult to like get past it without him taking the rake back from you, because obviously bigger and stronger than a goose. But like once you actually do it, it feels so like satisfying, even though all you did was take a gardening tool and stick it in a little pond.
And when you take his keys off of his belt and you're just like, I did it. Like, that's like the first thing I did, I think, was take his keys off his belt. And I was like, I am the biggest genius, biggest brained, like curliest brain ever. Wrinkly brain.
Wrinkly brains. We're super smart over here. Big nerds. But yeah, no, I definitely love that. Like, all of like and it's so fitting of like a goose too, because like, well, I'll bring up the ending now. So the ending is to take this shiny bell from like a little model village and bring it all the way back through all the previous areas, and then you take it to your home, which is
it's so great to go through all the other areas, and with the bell you have to like keep it from ringing, and everyone's still trying to catch you, but it's like you're just like, I'm zooming here.
Like, the home stretch. But yeah, like the NPCs are like a lot more like aggressive when you're trying to run back with the bell. They're like trying really hard to catch you. And
you can't stealth because you have the bell.
And it's just very loud. So you can't like avoid getting the attraction of all these people. So they're just running after you while you're like trying to speed waddle with and like there's a little slap sound of your like the goose feet.
The pitter patter.
Yes, exactly. And then when you get back to the starting area with the bell, it pans over and there's just a little like basket of bells. So it implies that you do this literally every single day. And that's why all the townspeople are so like fed up with you, which I was like, this is perfect. This is great. I would love to live in that town. I'd probably be pissed off at the goose too. But like,
do you think he does the same town every time? Or do you think that like there are many towns that he hits, and his base is near that town. And I don't know, I kind of assume that he just collects.
I like to think that
bells
it's the same, that it's the same town, just because like they have like all, it was all the
Okay.
same bell. So like it makes sense that
Oh,
like
they
they
had
finally
prepared
fix. Go ahead.
that little tower. Yeah. I was going to say they all have the
Yeah.
same signs like prepared for when this happens.
Yeah. Yeah, because they all have like no goose signs, which is hilarious to me that they think that a goose would A, read those, and B, recognize them. And, and you know, at the very least, listen. But obviously not. Another fun part is you can interact with the signs, just kind of like put them wherever you want. You can just take them into the little river or just stick them places. It's fun. But yeah, I like to think that he's just doing this in the same town every time they fix the model village. Is he just goes over there and just kind of wrecks it again.
Yeah, every week or so.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And it just generally causes havoc.
I love the idea of the town fixing the model village every time. Like
Yeah.
being like, this time it'll work.
Yeah, just that endless optimism. They're like painting the new like no geese signs, so they're just like, this time you won't mess up everything.
You know, maybe if we make the stripe through him red, he'll see it more.
Yes, exactly. This is what's going to get the goose's attention. Also, I love that there's a 2-player mode. Josh, my boyfriend, only played it with me a couple of times, but it's very fun. I want to play it more, but like it's not like an online play thing.
Can you describe the 2-player mode to me? Because I've never done it.
It's literally just the same as the regular game, but with an extra goose. So it makes things like a lot easier, but you could like also cause more havoc. And like, you know, it like kind of changes the strategy of some of the tasks, because you can like use one goose to like distract the person while the other goose goes and like completes the task. So it makes it makes it a bit easier, but it's also like fun.
Yeah, one of the things that I really love about the game is that everything is pretty much interactive.
Yeah.
Like you can, you know, you only have to grab 5 things from the shop, but you can fuck with all of the things in the shop pretty much.
Yeah.
And you can still like play with all the vegetables in the garden, even though you only need like the pumpkin and the carrot.
Yeah.
But you can still like fuck with the cabbage and all that jazz. And I think that was like, I didn't realize like how interactive the game was, but it, you know, you have so much you can play with that isn't even necessary to play with. I still don't know how to get the farmer to wear the hat though. How do you get the farmer to wear the hat?
Oh, I had to look up a walkthrough for that section too. Let me pull it up actually. But
because that was just an optional one, so I never ended up doing it because it was hard to figure out for me.
Yeah, where is it? Because I remember doing it. So that's in the beginning with the gardener. Yes. So it says you have to move the crate by the hedge on the left-hand side of the garden to reveal a hole, and then wait for the groundskeeper to tend a patch, and then carefully sneak up and grab his hat, and then he'll have to grab his other hat.
Oh, wow, that is so much.
Yes, it's quite detailed. But yeah.
Okay. What is your favorite little thing that you can do as the goose?
I like honking. Honking is very fun. One of my favorite like interactive parts was where you're in the pub and there's these 2 ladies sitting at the table, and you can stand on this little like grate that's like kind of a little bit above the ground, so it's like a little bit like a soapbox. And then these 2 ladies start like looking at you, like, "Oh, a goose!" And then one of them like makes a noise, and then you honk back, and then the other one like waves her arms, and then you like flap your wings back, and then the other one like kind of bows her head, so you bow your head, and then they throw you a flower. I love that part. It's really cute.
I think I also love that part. I think that's like one of like the genuine moments of like, oh wait, I love being a goose right now.
Yes.
And if geese were like this, every goose would be really cool.
Yes.
But geese are mean. But I really like when you get to go into the TV store and be on TV.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
And
that's a good time.
I always milk it. I want to, like, I did it like 3 times. I didn't need to, but I went in there like 3 times to be on TV because I was like, this is so funny to just be on TV as a goose. This one
Incredible.
little shop.
Yeah, no, I love that one. I also like love messing with the little boy on the high street where the shop is, because it's so easy to like upset him, and I'm like, I don't have to feel bad about it because it's a video game and also it's hilarious. So that's fun for me as well. It's like, because there's only, I think you have to lock him in the little telephone booth.
Yeah,
but like
or
you can do so
like
much other
chase him in
stuff to
there.
like, yeah, you could do so much other stuff to like annoy him, which is hilarious.
I love untying his shoes.
Yes.
And taking off his glasses to give him the other
Yes.
pair of glasses. Yeah, it is such like a clever little thing that like you wouldn't think that that's something that you would do, but then you do it and you're like, oh my god,
Yeah.
this is so cute and funny.
Yeah, and I love the way they've structured the to-do list. And also like, how do you think the goose got a hold of this to-do list? Do you think this is just a representation so that we understand what to do, or do you think the goose literally has like a to-do list?
No, I think the goose literally has a to-do list that he has like in cursive written down what to do.
Good.
To fuck shit up this week. I think he might have like a goose king, maybe, who like
You think?
delegates, maybe, and delegates.
There's like a goose hierarchy.
Yeah, it's like the labyrinth, the Goblin King in Labyrinth, played by David Bowie. It's just the Goose King. Oh my god, you you gotta watch Labyrinth
sometime, eventually, perhaps. Maybe we talk about it on the podcast.
For the show.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, apparently the game devs got their inspiration for the to-do list from like Hitman and like the way that they do it on that game. So they were like, they thought the idea of just a goose like having
love that.
tasks and everything was hilarious, which I also think is hilarious. Yeah, so what else do we have to discuss?
Okay, so something that everyone should know about me and will know about me and will always know about me is I hate fishing simulators in video games. And this is the first, like, this is one of the only games I have on my Switch that doesn't have a fishing simulator.
Incredible.
And how? Like, why is fishing so common in games? And fishing sucks. End of rant. I hate fishing in games.
Well, in Subnautica, you don't go fishing, you grab fish. So
okay. In Breath of the Wild, and I don't know if it's like this in every Zelda game. I've only ever played Breath of the Wild, but you also just like swim, and if you pass a fish, you just grab it. It's like you also do that with like mushrooms and shit. So like I didn't mind it in Breath of the Wild. And yeah, Subnautica, you just like stab fish. And
yeah,
I think same with Minecraft. I've never played Minecraft. Don't hate me.
I've never played Minecraft either. Maybe we'll have to do that eventually. It's like, it's one of those things that it's gotten like so popular that I feel like I should play it, but I also like, I don't have any innate desire to. And at this point, I feel like I'm just so far behind.
But this game, I am not joking that it reminded me a lot of Breath of the Wild. Like, this game is Goose Breath of the Wild.
You're the first person I've ever heard to say that. I haven't played Breath of the Wild yet, so I can't say whether or not I would make that connection. But that's so funny to me because like Breath of the Wild, from what I've heard anyway, is like more like open world, and I guess Goose Game is a little bit, but I feel like Goose Game is more defined.
But like with open world, with Breath of the Wild, yeah, it's open world, but like you have these moblins and you have like different enemies that you have to sneak up to either attack or like avoid. You can interact with like everything. You can fuck around. Like there are different tasks you have to complete. And I don't know. It just like it definitely has Breath of the Wild vibes that I probably would never compare it to if I hadn't just finished Breath of the Wild. But even like the puzzles, like the dragging stuff, you have to do that in Breath of the Wild. And I don't know, gave me big Breath of the Wild vibes.
Yeah, that's funny. I'll let you know when I eventually play Breath of the Wild at some point, perhaps, whether or not it reminds me of Goose Game.
Oh yeah.
So
we'll have to make a note of that for when we play it.
We'll discuss it.
Yeah.
We'll have a whole Goose Game kind of like similarities list.
Oh
See
yeah, 100%.
who ripped off who. You know, it's like very important that we give House all the recognition that they deserve. You know,
100%. House is the original. They're the founders of every trope we know in video games.
They're the Shakespeare of gaming.
They are the Shakespeare of gaming, and Nintendo is that bear.
Warner Brothers.
No. There's like Shakespeare's biggest enemy was a bear, entertainment wise. Yeah. There was like a funny bear who like was very entertaining at the same time that Shakespeare was putting on plays. And I mean, I could be wrong. I haven't like researched this, but the bear got more like seats in the house than Shakespeare.
Oh my God.
And yeah, the bear was almost more popular than Shakespeare.
That's hilarious. That's incredible. I love that. It's like you've seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine, right?
Yeah.
It's like when Charles has that like rivalry with the horse.
Oh yeah.
Sergeant Peanut Butter.
I don't like horses. Yeah. Thoughts on horses?
I'm not a horse girl, but like I don't have any negative opinions about horses. I think they're weird from like a biology perspective because technically their legs are fingers. And also I'm
sorry, you just dropped that on me. Does that mean their bodies are hands?
I'd never thought about it like that. I feel like maybe they're like the joint, because like the reason that they're technically fingers is because there's no like muscle in like the leg part, like the actual leg part. It's just like tendons, and like all the muscle is like higher up, kind of like how your hands are, you know, controlled by your forearms and everything. So I guess, do horses have, I feel like because horses don't have hands.
But the hands would be above the fingers. And if you're telling me legs are fingers, then they have body hands.
I guess. I mean, it depends on if we take this from a biology perspective or a philosophical perspective.
It's philosophy 100%. There's no biology in this discussion.
Yeah, but horses are weird, man.
They're so hard to draw. You just can't like draw a horse. I'm
not an artist, so like I'm bad at drawing everything.
Did you ever watch Adventure Time?
No, I was sheltered. I watched Mythbusters and Food Channel.
There was this one episode of Adventure Time where there's just like this weird horse standing outside their treehouse, and it's just like standing there staring at them, and it looks exactly like any horse that like would be your first attempt drawing a horse.
Amazing.
Like
there's
just no concept of like a neck, anything like that.
Mood. Yeah, that's how I would draw a horse. But it reminds me of that scene in The Good Place where they're playing Pictionary and one of them draws a horse, and it just like it, because like if you get it right in the Pictionary game, it comes to life. And it's supposed to be like this is like a fun heaven thing, but instead the horse is just like terribly drawn and it comes to life and it's horrifying. And I'm like, I mean, most horses are generally scary anyway, but that's worse.
Okay, what's with animals just having ridiculously long necks? Like geese, when you have a goose and it's chasing you, you have to grab it by the neck and yeet it.
Yes.
Like, that's the way that you get rid of a goose in your proximity. That's how you get rid of a goose. And I feel like that's so weird. What's up with animals just having weirdly long necks? Horses, giraffes have 6 foot long necks on average, like from birth.
Did you take honors bio?
No, obviously I didn't. Wait, yeah, I did. I did take honors bio.
We went to high school together. I think I remember, but because like they always give you that example with the giraffes when they're talking about evolution, because they're like, oh, the giraffe tried to get the bushes grew taller because they didn't want their leaves eaten, and then the giraffe's necks got longer in response until the trees were really tall and the giraffe's necks were really tall.
Okay, but horses and geese don't have that issue.
I know it doesn't make sense because like horses eat grass, so they just have to like bend down further, which does not make sense. But then again,
And cows
most
don't
horse
have
things
long
don't make
necks.
sense. Yeah, and most horse things don't make sense from like a evolutionary perspective anyway, because for prey animals, they're very bad
Are they
at like
prey?
yes.
What?
Do you think that horses are carnivores?
Okay. Oh, they're kind of like gazelles, I guess, when you think
Yeah,
about it.
or like deer, you know?
Yeah, like they're there for others' consumption. It's a good thing we don't eat horses. I feel like that'd just be weird.
Yeah.
I feel like
Plus,
it's
I feel
weird
like
that we eat any animal.
I don't know. I
I
like
mean, I still
bacon too
do.
much to be a vegetarian, so I could never do it.
You would also die.
It's true because I have too many allergies, hence gluten-free gaming.
Should we stop talking about horses?
Yes, we should stop talking about horses. I actually, when you were talking about geese having long necks, I remembered that I wanted to talk about something because like geese are like universally hated for the most part because nobody wants to interact with geese because they're notoriously mean.
100% fair.
However, I think it's hilarious that so many people identified with the goose in this game, and like it went viral for that reason. It's just it's a goose, and you get to be a goose. You get to be the annoying goose that everybody hates.
Yeah, there was a you called it, I remember when it came out, you called it like a computer virus or something. But there's like a thing that you can get on your computer or that like it's a little desktop goose and it'll walk around your desktop and just be a chaotic goose. And if you touch it, it'll attack your mount your pointer and take it away.
Incredible.
And every like 4 minutes it'll pull out a meme, or it'll pull out a text file, like an exe text file saying like watch out or something like that. But you can like customize it. You can send more memes into the file and make it have give you more memes. You can give it little things to say, so you could say like I want murder and stuff like that. But even just the default, like the stonks meme was popular when this thing came out, and so it would have like a thing that says honks
Amazing.
and would pull that out. I used to have it up when I would write my essays, like freshman or sophomore year of college. I think sophomore year, because I'm cool, and I would like have this out so I could just like see it as I was doing my essays, and it would make it feel better.
Adorable.
But it would also
yeah.
just like ruin my computer.
I mean, like, I feel like even if it is a virus, it's worth it at that point
100%, yeah.
because the goose brings you so much joy, you know? But yeah, I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, the goose is loose.
The goose is loose. But speaking of kind of how people took this game, it was like there was so many memes when it first came out. Like people were photoshopping the goose onto like there was a big meme that was photoshopping the goose onto different like pictures of like pictures taken like right before disaster or like right after disaster, implying that the goose was like responsible or at least a part of it. Like somebody painted him into like a painting of the Ides of March, like with a knife when everybody was stabbing Caesar. And
with a
like,
knife in his mouth.
Yeah, exactly. Because like that's one of the you could pick up a knife in the game, and like that's one of the images they had on their website when it first came out. It's like the goose holding a knife. What do you have? A knife.
No.
Yeah. So like, I love the goose memes. They were all very good. Made me
honestly
happy.
I feel like they're still like the goose is still a popular image. I think like I definitely like I've received a sticker of a goose holding a flag in his mouth. And
love that.
I as a gift. And like I feel like the goose still has like some pretty good like cultural, like connection to our generation at least.
Yeah, I think it's a very recognizable like image. And like it's also like it's basically like the goose itself is a meme at this point because everybody knows what it stands for.
Stands for chaos.
Yes. Chaos bringer goose.
Yeah. There was like a thing of putting like pictures of the goose on like classic literature and classic paintings, like Renaissance paintings.
Yeah.
Just like not even like disasters, just like it's the goose. What you gonna do?
Goose. He's there.
He do be there.
He do be goosing.
He do be goosing.
Should we go to the ratings? I think we should rate the game.
Yes. Okay, you give your rating first.
So for me, Goose Game gets an 8 out of 10 because it was very original, made me laugh a lot, and also it was like surprisingly intense at parts, which was very fun, and it was very satisfying when you like achieve stuff. So the only reason that it's an 8 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10 is because it's not long. So it's like it's only like the main game is only like a couple hours. There's some bonus content, which is fun. But like
I do think
all
that
in
it's
all,
like
I wish it was longer.
It's like a $15 game. I think that's like kind of worth your money too. Like I think, there's a lot of different ways to play the game. There's a lot of replay value to the game. And
yeah, I
of,
definitely agree.
I would say the game gets a 9 out of 10 for me. About 8 of those points go to it not having a fishing simulator and also reminding me of Breath of the Wild. And then the extra point is just like the absolute joy it brings me to be in this very unrealistic circumstance and to just be a fucking goose. It loses one star or one honk for for I don't know. It loses a honk for being very hard. And not having difficulty settings.
Yeah.
And I am the kind of person that likes to play a game on easy because I just like to experience the game. Not all games, I will say. But I do think that like for me, it stopped me from playing it the first time because it was so hard. And
yeah,
I couldn't get through it. And so I think that that's kind of where it loses my point. It's just that it is such a difficult game. At least like my reflexes don't work well in this kind of like high stress puzzle scenarios as much as I would like them to. So
yeah. No, I had to look up like a walkthrough, and like some of the parts definitely took like a good amount of tries. I use a walkthrough for most of the games that I play just because like I used one for Subnautica, I used one for Ace Attorney. It's just like I just like to be able to enjoy the game at like a pace that like I like, so that if there's a part that I'm stuck, I just keep going.
I also don't want to miss anything,
Yeah.
like I'm afraid of like leaving out a whole section of the game. Like for this game, I didn't know how to do any of the bonus tasks really. And I ended up not doing any of them except for the flower in the backyards. That was the only bonus task I ended up doing because they're just really hard and I didn't feel like looking up the walkthrough for it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind looking up walkthroughs. Sometimes I don't want to. I want to figure it out on my own. Like when I was doing Breath of the Wild, I would have to be at my wit's end to look up how to do one of the puzzles. And it took me so I maybe only looked up 5 as I was going through it. And then I'd only look at a certain part and then I would finish the rest of it,
Yeah.
But it's not a point of pride to not look up a walkthrough or like a little game facts kind of section, a blog. All the Nancy Drew games have like an old blog on her interactive because they're all so old. Most of them are so old. Okay, what would you give this on the gluten-free scale, where 1 means we don't have any gluten and both of us could happily live and interact with this world as the goose or as the main character without dying of either eating gluten or not being able to eat?
I think I would give it like a 2 just because of the sandwich and the like picnic part. Because you have to put it in your mouth to grab things because geese don't have fingers, unlike horses, as we learned today. But yeah, if I had to stick a sandwich in my mouth, I think I would be like inconvenienced. So yeah, that's what it gets. 2 out of 5.
I would say 2.75 out of 5.
We're getting specific.
Well, I don't think it hits a 3 for me. I feel like there are other games that probably have a 3 that I haven't rated on the gluten-free scale yet. But it doesn't hit a 3 for me, but there is just the point of fact that you have to put everything in your mouth. Like, what if this was a peanut farm or garden?
Yeah.
You would die.
I would be screwed. I would die.
But obviously it's not, and you can eat everything that's in the garden. But, you know, like, you have to put everything in your mouth. There's no option to, like, even just, like, push it, really. You have to pull things with your mouth. You can kind of run against something, like the ball, but
yeah, but it's not very precise. Yeah.
So I would give it almost a 3, 2.75, because there is a risk factor of putting shit in your mouth that could poison you.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But yeah, I think all in all, it's not a terrible time for gluten allergy people.
Yeah,
if we were in the game, of course. Yeah, if we were geese,
I love the hypothetical setting of being gluten-free in a video game, as if
I love the implication of a gluten-free goose.
Yeah, you like only think of geese eating, like, you know, bread at a park or something, which you're not supposed to do, I think.
I know, it's bad for geese and ducks. You're supposed to give them like carrots and like little vegetables.
Don't they eat fish? Like,
I don't know. I think so. So like you could probably throw it like, I don't know, sardines or something.
Ducks can eat rose petals.
I'm gonna Google it. What to feed ducks? Cracked corn, oats, rice, birdseed, frozen peas, chopped lettuce, or sliced grapes. That's what it says on the interwebs.
Sliced grapes? What if I wanted to give him... I guess he wouldn't like be able to chomp on a whole grape. Wait, geese have teeth.
Geese have teeth?
Geese have teeth.
I'm Googling geese teeth. I'm terrified.
They have like a row of like tiny teeth.
That's horrible. Why is this? Why is this what evolutionarily, why do they have teeth?
So the conclusion of this episode, before we get into our achievements of the week, conclusion, animals are horrifying.
Animals are scary. It's true. This is why I could never be a biologist. I want to have a pet. We're kind of bouncing between getting a dog or a gecko, but I don't know. We'll see. We're also kind of broke, so.
Okay. Our next and final segment is our achievements of the week. Something maybe gaming related, maybe not, of what we feel has been a big highlight or something that we are really proud of ourselves for doing.
Woohoo! Do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
You can start.
Cool. So I recently started kickboxing, which is fun and also a great way to let out anger, because it's like, it does feel like a workout, but it also doesn't feel like a workout because it's a great way to let out aggression. So it's a good fun time. I just get to go punch, kick. And
also, when you're back in the Big Apple, you can defend yourself with a punch, kick.
Exactly. Yes. I can be safe from people who would do me harm. Woohoo.
Yeah, that's a good achievement. Achievement unlocked.
Achievement unlocked. Kickboxing.
My achievement was going to be the bookshelf, and then I realized I got a bookshelf and I put books on it. That's one of my achievements. But my other achievement is I applied for a job and I interviewed for the job, and as long as I haven't murdered anyone, I have the job.
Oh, amazing.
And you know, it's pretty tight, but I think I have the job.
Congrats.
So yeah, it's going to be more of a weekend job, but it's putting my foot in the door of libraries, and I'm really excited to do it. And it is a half hour to an hour away from where I live, depending on life. So I get to listen to a lot of audiobooks on my way.
And podcasts.
Always podcasts.
Always podcasts.
Always be podcasting.
We be podcasting. Incredible. I don't even listen to that many podcasts. I listen to like Radiolab, but that's it.
I only listen to podcasts. I don't listen to music. another
Undertale music.
Oh, except for Undertale music. Yeah, that was what I listened to when I was studying for finals.
That's the one exception.
Yeah. Okay, so this has been episode 1 of Gluten-Free Gaming.